Hello all my beautiful sisters from those other misters, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to sit down and, well, I'm already sitting down, but today I'm going to talk to you about my eye primers. I am testing out, or I have tested out all of my eye primers, and I'm going to let you know what I think about what I've got here. I'm going to let you know about my preferences with eye primers, what I want my eye primer to do for me, and I'm going to declutter some of this crap here because some of them I really don't like. To test out these primers, I tried to keep things consistent and fair. So every single day I chose a new eyeshadow primer. I used the exact same brushes to apply the eyeshadows, and I used the exact same palette and the exact same shades every single day. And the reason that I did that was so I would be able to visually see any changes in how the eyeshadows applied or wore, things like that. So the palette I used was the Lorac Mega Pro 3. I just did a really simple eye look. I used 3 shades. I used Tan, I used Eggplant, which is down here, and I used Rust. So Tan in the crease, Eggplant in the outer corner, Rust over the eyelid, the end. And like I said, I use the same brushes every time as well, so that there was just some consistency there. The reason why I chose the Lorac Mega Pro 3 palette and those 3 particular shades that I used was because Tan doesn't have a whole lot of pigmentation, so you know, if I was putting it over something that was going to enhance the color, then I would notice that. Eggplant could go on really patchy if it didn't have something decent to grip to, and Rust was quite lackluster in its pigmentation and its vibrancy. So I specifically used not great eyeshadows to see if any of the eyeshadow primers would improve the way that they look. I don't have too many eye primers, kind of. I've only got 9 here, but if you ask me, that's way too many. I probably feel like I would need like maybe 2 max. The amount of eye primer that you actually use in comparison to like the size of your face, it's tiny. It's tiny, minuscule little amount of product. So I definitely want to get rid of some today, and doing this little project has allowed me to do that. What I can tell you is I personally feel like for me, eye primer is necessary. I like eye primer. Some of them are better than others, some of them are rubbish, and I would say when it comes to the world of primers, eye primer is the one where I actually do want to have it in my stash. I did this one of these videos but on like face primers, and look, I'm one of those people. I don't feel like face primers are necessary. I decluttered most of the ones that I had. I kept a couple that I enjoyed enough to think that I would be able to finish them up. But I think face primer, it's one of those things like I don't need it. I can totally live without it. I would prefer not to have the added step, but eye primers, these are great. Well, some are great, some are crap, but let's get into it. So I have the Revolution Prime and Lock eye primer here. This is, look, it looks like it's gonna be, like it's gonna have good pigment, but when you blend it out on the eye, it looks pretty translucent. Now, for me, I much prefer a primer that is pretty much the same color as my skin tone, because it works to sort of, you know, cover any minor imperfections that I have in that area of my eye. It means I don't have to put on foundation or concealer first and then go in with an eye primer. So it's just one step. It's one step, put it on. If it's got a bit of pigmentation, it can cover up any imperfections. Fantastic. That's what I love. This one's translucent, as you can see. Not into that. That's something that I learned doing this project. I like a more opaque eye primer that is like the color of my skin. I didn't have any issues blending mattes over this, so it didn't stick badly. They blended really beautifully. I didn't feel like it enhanced the shimmer shade that I applied over it. It was still kind of lackluster and boring, but the eyeshadows didn't fade throughout the day. But I just, look, I've got better primers here, or primers that I personally enjoy more. So this one I'm getting rid of, and I don't want to use it. I will say this is huge. It contains 6 mils of product. The packaging is kind of probably a bit bulky in terms of like the amount of product in there, so it probably doesn't need to be this big, but you know, that's still a lot of primer. It'll last you a long time. I also have the Too Faced glitter glue here. This is an old, like, holy grail favorite of mine. This is literally, it's glue. It is glue for your eyeshadow. I only actually use this when I'm using something super sparkly and I want to like ramp up the effect of that. So if I want to apply a, you know, sparkly shimmery eyeshadow, I will pop this underneath it and put the eyeshadow on top, or I will put a glitter right over the top. This one stays. I love this stuff. It's not an everyday eye primer if you ask me. It's a lot more specialized for how it works. So I wouldn't be pulling this out for my everyday makeup. I didn't wear it today because I don't need it, but this one's great. I will always have a tube of this in my stash. There are alternatives to this as well. I know NYX do one, Makeup Revolution do a glitter glue type primer. They're all good. They're all quite good. So you don't have to spend the extra money on this. You can go for a cheaper one and still get great effects, but I've already got this one, so I'm not looking to buy more. I just keep using this. Let's do a cult eyeshadow primer. This has been around since the dinosaurs. It is the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. This definitely had its heyday, but for me, it's not where it's at, basically. So this appears to have some pigment, but when you blend it out, it does become just a translucent eyeshadow primer. I didn't have any issues with this. Nothing faded. I wore my eyeshadow for like 14 hours. It wears well. There's no issues there. Matte's blended easily over the top of it. I don't feel like it enhanced the shimmer shade at all. I was just like, God, this is what my eyeshadow is going to look like today. Boring and bland, but it is what it is. I feel like this has cult status. I understand why people like it because it works as an eyeshadow primer, but it's not staying in my stash. I'm going to get rid of it. It's just not, it's not what I want from an eyeshadow primer. I really want my eyeshadow primer to have an opaque tint to it, and this doesn't, but everything else, like, it's fine. Eyeshadows stick to it. They wear well. It's like, it is what it is, but I feel like I've got better ones, basically. I'm also going to talk about the Too Faced Shadow Insurance eyeshadow primer. I feel like this falls into the same category as the Urban Decay. It's same. I do like that this is like a, you know, squeezy tube. I think that is much better packaging. It's my preference. But again, this goes on translucent, and you know, okay, I'm saying I like opaque eyeshadow primers. I'm gonna get to them. I do have some that are great. Again, mattes were fine over this. The shimmer eyeshadow wasn't enhanced. It's just like, to me, this is sort of like run-of-the-mill eyeshadow primer. I don't want to keep it. I don't care. I wouldn't buy it again. I don't even think I bought that. That was like a mini that came with a palette or something in a holiday pack, but yeah, don't need it. Let's move into my opaque primers. I have the MAC Paint Pot in Painterly here. This has been in my project pan forever. This lasts forever. If you want an eye primer that's just going to go and go and go and go and go, then this is what you want. I'll apply this with a brush because I don't want to stick my finger in there. It's a bit grubby. But you can see that this goes on and it's opaque. It's close to the color of my skin, but it is a bit more pinky. It doesn't bother me too much. Can't really tell when it's like on my face. It blends in fine. This I like this because it offers coverage, which is fantastic. So it's like a primer and concealer in one. Mattes blend really easily on it. I don't feel like it enhanced the shimmer shade. So, you know, there's that. But that is, to be fair, that's a bad shimmer shade. So, you know, am I asking too much for an eyeshadow primer to enhance that? Maybe. But in saying that, I do have one here that did improve that eyeshadow. But look, I like this. It's fine. Would I buy it again? Probably at some stage in the future. But like I said, I mean, I'm about 2/3 the way through this tub and I've been using it forever. And I will probably be using it until the day I die because it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. Okay, the eyeshadow primer, or, okay, there might be debate about whether this is an eyeshadow primer. You can definitely use it as an eyeshadow primer though, and I have been. This is a the Laura Mercier Caviar Stick in Vanilla Kiss. So this is basically like, these are so soft and goopy. That's probably one of the things that I don't like about them. So this is like a cream eyeshadow stick. You can totally use these on their own, or you can use them as a base for other eyeshadows. This one is opaque. I'm actually wearing it today all over my eyes from like lash line up to my brow, and then I just set it with a little bit of powder. This is pretty damn good. Mattes blend really nicely over this eyeshadow primer, and it does actually enhance the intensity of shimmery eyeshadows. It did with the one in the Lorac palette. It was the only primer in this, like in my array of primers in this video, that actually enhanced that shitty ass shade. So I have to give it major props for that. I've actually put that one in my project pan. I am going to try and finish it up. My only issue with it was that if I had any sort of dry patches on my eyes, it stuck to them really badly, and it like made it really obvious that I had some textural issues going on my eyelid. So it's not a perfect eye primer for me, which is a shame, but I do really like it as an eye primer. It works. I might buy it again in the future. I don't know. That's why I'm trying to, you know, have a good go at it in my project pan, see how I like it over an extended period of time, and in the future I will decide whether it's something that I would buy again or not. Natasha Denona, this is the eyeshadow base. So this is Natasha Denona's eye primer. Packaging looks like this, kind of like a concealer. And this does have a tint to it. This feels like a concealer. It's got that sort of richness and thickness to it, but also almost like a wetness and a tackiness. The matte eyeshadows blended really nicely over this. They laid down well. All of that was good. It didn't enhance the crappy ass shimmer shade that I was using, but as an eye primer, I felt like it looked quite light. Not like bright light or white light, but the texture that it left over the eyelid was light and thin. So my eyelids still looked skin-like rather than having makeup on there, basically. That's something that I quite enjoy from an eye primer and from all makeup items these days. I kind of like my makeup to look like it is my skin, or it just melts in with my skin really well, and this does that, which I enjoyed. I like this primer. I'm keeping it. I look forward to using it more in the future. Next I have, let's do the Ulta Beauty Matte Eye Primer. I kind of feel like this is very similar to MAC's Paint Pot in a tube, basically. So squeeze it out. It is quite thick and it does have a tint. It will totally help to sort of fix up any imperfections that you might have on your eyelids, which is really nice. Mattes blend really well over this. Shimmer, look, it wasn't enhanced, but throughout the day it wore well. Nothing creased, nothing faded, so that was, you know, it was good. That's the most that I can ask for, is that the eye primer just doesn't make the eyeshadows look worse. I don't really expect them to enhance the eyeshadow. I kind of think that the eyeshadow needs to speak for itself. And the eye primer is just a base to make sure that things, you know, go on smoothly and stay on for the whole day. This one ticks that box, so I'm happy to keep it. I've actually used quite a bit of this. She's seen some use, and I'm happy to keep going. My last one, this is from Kaleidos. This is the Tone Activator Eye Primer. So this activates eye makeup's full potential. Now, look, I like this because it's in a squeezy tube and it does have a tint. This is, I would actually say that this is kind of similar to the Natasha Denona formula in the fact that it's got a thickness, but it's a thickness that's similar to concealer. It's not as thick and matte as this guy. I do feel like this one is a little bit heavier in appearance on the skin compared to the Natasha Denona, but it performs very much in the same way. Mattes blend nicely, you know, the shimmers, they stick to it, but there's no like massive improvement there. And the eyeshadow wore really well. So I didn't have an issue with it. I'm happy to keep using it. She stays. So of the 9 eyeshadow primers that I own, one's on the ground, I'm getting rid of 3. I'm keeping 5, and 1 is like, I consider this sort of a specialty primer. This has a time and a place. It's not an everyday primer though. I feel like that's a lot more manageable for me. 4 eyeshadow primers, fine. It'll probably take me 4 years to use them all up, but at least I don't have 3 extra in my stash that I don't actually enjoy. I'm gonna leave that there, guys. Feel free to leave your favorite and least favorite eyeshadow primer suggestions down in the comment section. I know people found the suggestions from my primer video helpful, which was great. If you're enjoying this series, I will be back hopefully soon with another one. Concealers is next on the chopping block, followed by foundations. So I'm looking forward to doing them. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.